Hey guys, what's up? It's Jules here for WhatCulture.com, joined by Scott Tailford, and we wanted to have a little chat with you today because a lot of games, you probably pick them up and you think to yourself, brilliant, yeah, can't wait to bust through this single-player story, but after a bit of research done by, is it Alana Pierce? Alana Pierce. She has basically just concluded or proposed the point that maybe single-player in games are dying. And so if this is true, what does this actually mean for gaming as a whole? She basically posits this thought that we're moving away from single-player narrative-focused experiences because of the fact that it's more lucrative for developers to make things that are multiplayer-focused, easily monetized, basically things that move forward and get a lot of replayability.
So, the crux of the thing, because Alana's put together an entire report based on, she's talked to a whole bunch of different developers and got some industry opinions. It's well worth going to read the full article on IGN. And the thing is still filed under opinion, even though she's drawing from various developers' inside sources. People who basically are industry insiders.
She researched this for quite a
like 6 months. And it's, like I said, it's entirely her report, obviously, but it's worth talking about. Because there are some really fascinating conclusions that have come out of it. So basically what she found out, the main crux of the argument is that games that are created with Twitch and YouTube and content creation in mind are far more lucrative. And you can see that. I mean, if you look at Ubisoft's sales for last year, they actually 20% of their entire company revenue came from microtransactions.
You've also got to look at games that are coming out on the horizon, like the Call of Duty. They're ditching a single-player experience in favour of having a multiplayer-only sort of big war game style thing. Now, they actually posited that not many people make it through to the end of their campaigns. Treyarch actually, Infinity Ward, came out and said, I think it was something like 13% or 30%, so it was around that.
It's very small.
Only make it through to the end of their campaign. So they asked, why bother making them?
And that's the other thing.
Isn't a great response. I mean, that's basically just well, fine, we're taking our ball home. But still, it does actually show that there are direct things happening where we, as a consumer, might openly state, I love this game for the story, I might do this, but not the majority of players.
And that goes back to an old, that's a separate thing, but that goes back to an old Kotaku report where they found out that it was 9 out of 10 or 90% of people don't finish games at all.
Yeah.
But that goes back to the whole Twitch thing. If you're streaming a single player game, you and your audience will get through the story once, and that's it. Whereas
unless you've got games that have modifications and stuff like that. But we can go.
But they're sort of like the anomaly. Like if you're talking, the majority of single player games, the reason that someone's going to watch a Twitch stream for something, it's to see the story through and to see the personality. And once that's done, that's it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you make something like Fortnite, Siege, Destiny, whatever it is, where there's a constant amount of content being plugged in, one of the cruxes here is that the company doesn't have to think about advertising because the Twitch streamers, the YouTubers, they take care of that, even if they're not aware of it.
Yeah.
And so
when you're playing on any sort of live streaming service, you are basically running an advert for that game, whether or not people buy into it or whether they're getting paid for their streams, you are literally just sitting there saying, look at this game I'm playing. That's great advertising for the company.
So that's the main thing here. That's the reason that all these conversations around single player games are dying. That's it, because the games that are the platforms for content just make so much more money.
Yeah.
And although there are things like, obviously God of War is a big example recently, and things that got announced like Sekiro, Ghost of Tsushima, games that are going to be single player in the future, they're almost going to be the anomaly, because that company, that publisher, is saying we know we're not going to make a constant revenue stream on this, but we're okay with that.
We do see, if you look at this sort of industry as a whole, we are definitely moving into a situation where things are more connected. Therefore, we are trying to do sort of things that are more multiplayer focused. You look at games that don't even have a story, as it were, it's a loose narrative. You could even point at things like The Division and stuff like that, or another Tom Clancy one, Wildlands. It doesn't have necessarily an A to B story because it's all messed up all over the place, but they're doing it to encourage the multiplayer aspect.
And that's another thing that she points out as well. If you look at the best-selling games for last year, 8 out of 10 of them had multiplayer components, whether it's Call of Duty or Destiny. The only two anomalies were Horizon and Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And it's even The Last of Us 2, a major game that's thought of as a single-player experience, has an online multiplayer.
Yeah.
And will have that in the future. Red Dead has Red Dead Online. Yep. GTA Online, you only need to look at the amount of money GTA Online makes.
It's unbelievable.
It's ridiculous.
Amount of money.
And so it's one of those,
You're almost asking your question, if you were a developer coming into the industry, wouldn't you make a multiplayer game first and then think about the single player second? That seems to be, if you're just trying to make money, if you're trying to actually make a return on your investment that you're getting, that's the way that you probably would approach it.
Well, the thing is, and it's always going to get back to this.
In an argument.
Absolutely. It's always going to get down to this in any discussion around an art form, because it's always going to be money versus creation, business versus creation.
Definitely.
And it's why are you getting into the industry? And that's the split that you see. You see someone like Cory Barlog. I always call him Balrog, because that's the thing from Lord of the Rings. It's always not that. Cory Barlog. You look at the way that he approached God of War, and that's a passion project. He wanted to make that. Obviously, his whole team did too. But you can see that in the game. There's not any sort of money grubby like there's nothing in that game that feels money grubby. Whereas you look at Destiny, and maybe the reasons that Destiny has come together is more focused on the business side of things.
Oh,
like,
I mean,
there's always a push and pull.
Totally. I mean, like if we're using Destiny as an example, you can only look at look as far as their new DLC pack that they've just announced, where they're killing off Cade 6.
Oh yeah,
they've done that so they can spike sales.
Right.
Like, there's not an incentive narrative for them. They probably don't give a toss about it.
And that whole bit where it goes back and forth, the pendulum sort of swings between one and the other. You can pick out indie games are very much on the complete creative, don't care if we make a profit, we just want to make this thing.
Yeah.
And then you've got other business focused things. You look at Anthem, that's definitely BioWare going, let's swing towards the business side because we want to make a lot of money. Yeah. And you can just tell, you can see straight away. But it's not without precedent. That's the thing. The facts back this stuff up. The consumer data backs it all up. As much as we want to argue against microtransactions and things like that, microtransactions make up for a developer not even having to think about a sequel.
Unbelievably so. As a base, gamers like ourselves and you watching at home, we are fairly hypocritical. We will talk long into the night.
Origins, by the way.
We'll talk long into the night about basically games like having great stories, great focus and narrative structure, yet the biggest played games are online shooters. They are the ones that pump DLC into it, and microtransactions, as much as we will denounce them, they are huge money makers.
It's weird because the bigger the gaming gets, the more we'll start to have parallels with the film industry and the music industry. Obviously the biggest selling albums aren't arguably the best music out there. Obviously the biggest selling films aren't the best films out there, like on overall. Like Marvel kind of offset the balance, but things like Transformers aren't exactly the bastion of film. And it's like, we're going to get to that in gaming. Like, Fortnite is solid as hell, but it's not the best battle royale. And like, I don't know, anything that's massively popular, nigh on isn't going to be the best in its field. So it is a weird push and pull, but there are a lot of facts to back up the business side of it.
Very interesting though. But I mean, let us know what you think about this down in the comments section below. Do you think that in the future single player games will be shown the door, or do you think that there will always be a place because of the dedicated gamers amongst us? Let us know down in the comments section below. And as always, I've been Jules.
I've been Scott.
You've been awesome, and we'll speak to you soon.
Bye.